Hey everybody, I'm Gemma and I am from the southeast of England in the UK, and I am the lazy manifesting coach. So I help women create their dream life while still getting on with their life. I help them manifest in simple, fun and practical ways. The kind of manifesting you can do while you're taking a shower, or while you're on the school run, or while you're waiting for the kettle to boil, and also helping them manifest more easiness and more laziness into their lives, how they can create it on autopilot, making everything easy. I'm a maverick. I'm also a ruler romantic. There's only a couple of points between it, which means that I don't like being told what to do. I want to monetize everything, and I don't want to work very hard for it. I want the money to come in while I'm taking a bath and reading a book. I absolutely love SMA and everything that I learned from it. I'm always a bit skeptic with kind of personality sort of quizzes, and yet I'm always astounded when they come out. And my goodness, when everything came out, I thought, okay, so that's why I didn't like being a lawyer for 12 years, because I sucked at like having to follow the process and being told what to do. And that's why I spent 10 years trying to build my business and not doing very well at it, because everyone was telling me that I had to do it in a certain way and I had to follow the formula and do the process. And now I get to do my maverick ruler romantic kind of way and do what I want and when I want and make it all kind of fun and lovely and simple and practical. And that's me. So thank you, Denise.
So the first round of questions, and Kira, we're going to start with you. Kira, then Natalie, then Deborah, Gemma, Kim, and then Helen, you're going last on this one, is when you got the quiz results for SMA, was it a surprise? Or is this something that you've always known about yourself, that you like to break rules? Have people, told you, or have you gotten negative feedback from it? Or, was it a surprise, or did you just go, yeah, that is me?
So I have also done the quiz twice because I'm a maverick, so no one's going to tell me to do it once. So I've also done it twice. And I think there was about a year between it. Both times I am ruler maverick celebrity. The first time ruler came out top, but there's only ever 3 or 4 points between those three. Not celebrity, sorry, romantic. Ruler maverick romantic. The second time it was maverick that came out top, and I think that's because I was really stepping into that. Oh, okay, actually I'm allowed to be a bit of a rebel. I think it came out ruler first because I wanted to monetize everything. I was desperate to make the money. I was trying to make everything work, could monetize everything because I get bored very easily. That, oh, maybe I'll make some coloring sheets. No, I'm gonna do a coaching program. Actually, I can help people do this. I'll create websites. That's fine. Yeah, I'll help you do this. I'll look after your kids if you pay me. Like, I was doing kind of all the things to try and make some money. So I think that's why ruler came out first. But second time I took the quiz, maverick came out top. And I can definitely see that that is me. When the results first came out, it wasn't necessarily a surprise, but it was more like the realization of, okay, so it is actually a thing. It's not just that I'm a bit flaky and really bad at business and just rubbish at picking a niche and things like that. It's actually allowed for me to do it this way. And since I have, I guess, honored that and sort of stepped in that, that's where even more of my romantic has come out, because now I know it's allowed to be easy and I get to do it in my way. And I wouldn't have ever thought that I was, the rebel as such, but I've always done my own thing. When all of my friends went off to university, I bought a plane ticket to Australia and backpacked around Australia for a year, because why not, right? Let's go and do that by myself for a year, because that's cool. Then I'll come back and get a job. All my other friends have got their debt and they're going to university. I'll just get a job. And I worked through jobs and I'd get a bit bored and then I'd move on to the next one. So I'd stay about 2 years. I then qualified as a lawyer, because why not? I got a job in a law firm and I worked my way up, and they said, why don't you do that? And I thought, sure, that'll be fun. And then I realized quite quickly that actually it wasn't very fun, and I was desperate to trying to do anything outside of that. And in fact, my most enjoyable part of being a lawyer was when I got to arrange the Christmas parties or like the summer functions, because that was all fun and I got to be a little bit different and do those fun things. And within my business over the last decade, because so many gurus out there tell you that you have to pick a niche and you have to absolutely have one ideal perfect client or customer, which I know absolutely works for lots of people, but because of that, I felt like I had to do it the same way as everybody else. And over the last decade, I've been a confidence coach, a visibility coach, a clarity coach, a mindset coach, a money coach. I've been all the different kind of things. And after about 4 months, I'm like, oh, I'm a bit bored of that. I think I'll go do this other thing. No, maybe I'm not a visibility coach. I'm a clarity coach. Okay, that's what I do. And I do that for a bit. And then I get bored. And then I rearrange the website and do all of the Facebook pages and things. And as a result, wasn't really very successful with it, because I'd get to a certain point, I'd grow a Facebook group to sort of 400 or 500 people, and then I'd get bored and close it, go into a different one with a completely different name. And so I never got any kind of traction, because I was then beating myself up about not doing it in the perfect way, not doing it in the way that everybody else says that you should do it, and not being able to write the sales pages with the exact formula like you have to write it, or not being able to run these long coaching programs. I've been told so many times that I should run 4-month coaching programs and charge this amount of money. My goodness, I've tried it so many times, and by week 4 I'm just bored of it and want to do something else and resenting it. So now I know what works for me is having a monthly membership where I get to talk and know that 5 people could join, 50 people could join, 500 people could join, and it's going to impact them without me kind of getting bored. I get to turn up and go, oh, I'm going to make you a colouring sheet. Oh, I've made you a template. It's so pretty. Here you go. So I get to be my wonderful kind of rebel sort of side, but having that regular income coming in. I was definitely living in my negative aspect, I think, of the rebel rather than the positive. As I say, I was really resisting the do it your way, and actually it's okay for you to be a bit of a rebel, and it's okay for you to sort of not follow the rules and things like that. I was resisting it and flitting from kind of thing to thing, but I was definitely the investing in the get rich quick things, because I am a bit of a romantic and I don't want to have to work very hard. I'm like, oh, I do this would save me all my troubles. I can just go and have a bath and read a book and I have lots of money coming in. And I've taken those kind of, okay, if I do this, I won't be able to afford to like pay the rent next month, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And I go and do it. And I've got myself in like the 30K of credit card debt. And now I'm getting out of that, thank goodness, because I'm living in the positive aspect of the Maverick and understanding that I do get to monetize the things I want. I can still be niche. So I am the lazy manifesting coach. That's what I help people with. But my perfect people know that I might rock up and talk about morning mindset or money mindset or your affirmations in the shower or what to listen to in the car on the way on the school run. And it lets me have much more freedom, which means I keep taking action quickly and I'm not getting kind of, I guess, brought off the path. And even just in the last few weeks, my rebel has come out even more. I've started going back through the SMA trainings just because I knew I was coming to do this. I thought, why not? And even just from the last kind of week and a half, my goodness, I am done with lots of things. I've left so many Facebook groups. I've unfollowed so many people that are just trying to tell me to do it in a certain way, because I know now that I get to do it kind of my way. So I love my rebel self, and I'm super proud to be a rebel, super proud to be a maverick.
So the next question, and I've put it in the thing too, of I want you to think back to your childhood. So Kira, you've already mentioned too that, you know, was it your mum or your grandmother called you Miss Missy? And I want to hear like even more about this stuff, right? So we're going to start with Natalie, and I want you to think like, where has this come out? Because for some of you, I'm hearing it's not necessarily about rebellion. For some of you, it's about being bold or courageous, or you know, seeing things that don't work, or being extra, or sparking a flame in something. So think back to some of this comes out really early, you know, like at preschool, you go, no, this is stupid, I'm not going to do it. Or you led a rebellion in your primary school because of, I don't know, some stupid rule. And then the thing that came out too, what are your family, did they have a nickname for you? Did they ever say things like, you know, it's your way or the highway, or, you know, you can't have your cake or eat it too. So, or were you called stubborn, or, you know, just where did it come back? So just think about that from a young age. Where did that little baby maverick come in? We're doing Natalie first, then Deborah, Gemma, Kim, Helen, and then Kira, you're last on that one.
So this is the first time that I've ever really thought about my maverick as a child. I've thought about the last sort of 15 or so, or perhaps like all my friends going off to university and me getting a ticket to Australia and backpacking for a year. Sort of thought from kind of that onwards. I've never really thought about it as a child before, so it's really interesting the things I've been thinking about as you've been talking. And my dad left when I was 6 years old, and I've done a ton of stuff on it and I've like released a lot of it. It's all good. But I know that for decades gave me this real fear of not being good enough, of worrying about what people were thinking, always wanting to fit in, always wanting to be part of the in crowd. And I would mold myself into these different kind of circles, and I'd go along with things, I'd agree with things, even if it was something I didn't like. I'd eat food that I thought was just awful because we'd go out for dinner and everybody else would be having it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that, and I'd be like choking it down because it was gross, but I wanted everybody to love me. And I think I was probably stifling my maverick a little bit by trying to fit in, and by being so worried about not being good enough, or being a bit different, or not liking some of the things that everybody else seemed to sort of like. So it's really interesting that you kind of bring that up now, that that area sort of falls into most of my life. My dad leaving when I was 6, and like I say, it's fine, I've done it, I've released all of that, but I know that that caused me to, for years and years, boyfriends cheated on me, of course they did, because I'm not good enough. I was bullied at school, of course I was, because I'm not good enough, and all of this kind of stuff. But I think growing up in my family life, I've sort of grown up in a mavericky, sort of rulery kind of household anyway. My brother is definitely a ruler maverick. He went to university, but after about 6 months decided it wasn't for him, and just didn't tell my mum for 2 years, and he was just going off doing his own thing while still pretending he was at uni. And now he is a dog walker, and he's a sort of pet photographer when he can kind of be bothered. And him and his wife, who don't have kids because they don't want kids, and they don't need to be told that they have to have kids, they're going to get their camper van and go off and travel the world. And my mum, I think because my dad left again when I was 6, I don't really remember much of him being around. I remember it being me and my mum and my brother, and just remembering, I don't need a man. Like everybody else has their dad. We don't need a dad. It's cool. We've got our mum. She's amazing. She's going off to work, and I can do stuff on my own. And then she did meet somebody else, and they ran a business together. So my mum and my stepdad ran a business together, and it was great. All of a sudden, we went from not having very much to then we've got loads, and we can get a really nice car, and we live in this really nice house, and we clearly had a lot more money than all of our friends, and we had all of the latest kind of gadgets and equipment. This was down to my stepdad. I think if he took the test, he would absolutely be celebrity. He wanted to kind of show off all of the stuff. And then he cheated on my mum, and they split up, and the business went bankrupt because he left with all the debt, and we lost all of the money. And I've literally spent all my life in that feast or famine of, it's amazing, it's here, let's spend it all. Oh crap, I can't pay the bills. It's fine, something's going to happen, we'll invest in something else. Yeah, amazing, I've got loads of money, I'm going to treat all my girlfriends to the spa because I can. Oh bugger, I can't pay the bills next week, excuse my language. And so it's kind of, that's how it's sort of gone, and it's gone like that throughout all of my sort of life. But sort of thinking about the maverick as such, I've never really thought about it before, as I say. And I think other than the feeling a bit perhaps like I was stifling it by worrying about what people were thinking, I wouldn't say it's so much the rebel kind of side again or anything like that. It was more, I just realized that I didn't sort of want to do the same things that everybody else was kind of telling me to do. I didn't really want a proper office job, which is funny because I ended up becoming a lawyer because I felt I should, but I didn't really want that sort of job. I wanted to be an author. I was writing stories on this amazing pink typewriter that my mum got me when I was 6 years old or 7 years old, and writing stories about witches. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a foreign correspondent. I applied for a job as a roller coaster tester because that sounded way more fun than going to work in an office. And I wanted to do all these different things, be a party planner, a wedding planner. I ended up then getting an office job and being a secretary, and then qualifying as a lawyer, and all of that felt weird. But I felt like I should. I felt like I would end up having the traditional sort of marriage, and the husband goes out to work, and we've got 2 kids. We were going to have a boy and a girl, and the boy was going to be 3 years older than the girl. I had this all planned out from stories I'd seen or movies I'd seen or something like that. And that didn't really happen. I am now married to a lovely man, and we have 1 daughter, and we're not having any more because she's perfect, and that's fine, and that's good enough for us. And it took a while to kind of release that sort of, but I was meant to have another one. But it's okay actually, because I'm a maverick and no one tells me what I get to do, and actually we can just have one, and that's totally fine. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's shown up throughout my life of always wanting to do something fun, not necessarily from a point of view of like no one's going to tell me what to do, or I'm going to be a bit of a rebel, but just kind of everything else seemed a bit mundane. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to enjoy myself. If I had to go out and work, then why couldn't I have nice things, and why couldn't it be fun, and why couldn't I do what I wanted? Who said it had to be in an office? And again, growing up, I've not really experienced that sort of traditional, I guess, working kind of life. My mum was working when my dad left because we had to pay the bills, and then they started this business, and it went very kind of like that. my mum didn't really get what you'd call a proper job until I was about 15, when she split up with my stepdad, and again we had to pay the bills, and she went to work in a shop. And she has always supported, do whatever you want as long as you're happy. So I'm grateful that I've never had that, you know, you have to go to university and you have to do this kind of thing, or you should do this. She thought it was a great idea when I was offered the law opportunity, because I think she was thinking at least it is something you can fall back on in case some of these roller coaster jobs don't quite work out. But I always feel supported in that. It was more myself worrying about what other people were going to think and trying to fit in with the crowd. And then again, even into the future now, I know we're talking about childhood, but even going into the future of sort of then starting those jobs and things, always thinking that it had to be done in a certain way. And I'm clearly not good enough if I'm not able to follow that process. And I think that's been with me through all of school, going back to sort of lessons, and those things that you pay attention to and those that you don't. I always enjoyed drama, I enjoyed theatre, I enjoyed like the art and the creative kind of stuff. I hated maths because my maths teacher told me I had to do it. I had to learn how to do maths. If I wanted to get a good job, I needed to have maths. And as soon as he told me that, my goodness, I could not care less. I hated learning about all the trigonometry and all the like words and things that I can't even remember. So when I did my exams, in England they're called GCSEs, but when I did my exams, I did okay, but it wasn't that great. And so I felt like I should do it again when I went to college then when I was 16. And I had a different teacher who then explained maths to me in a way of, if you want to go to a shop and buy a dress, this is how you work out how much discount you're going to get if it's on sale. Or when you want to go and buy a house and you need to figure out the interest rate for the mortgage, this is how you work it out. And as soon as I could kind of apply it to life and make it fun and make it a bit different, that's when I took it on board. It's when that teacher said to me, you have to do maths if you want to get a proper job. I didn't want to get a proper job, so I didn't want to listen to maths, and as a result I didn't do very well. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I say, it's the first time I've ever really thought about in my childhood, but I can definitely see it showing up. I can definitely see that I stifled it for a long time, worrying about what people think, and I've only in the last year stopped giving a crap about what people think. And since then my maverick has kind of soared even more, and my romantic I think has soared even more, because now I've got more time and more bandwidth to do what I want, because I'm not really worried about what people think anymore. So yay, that's me.
Where is this showing up in your business? So here's the question, and I'll just put it in the comments, is like, how is your maverick showing up and sabotaging your business? But what was the aha around SMA for that? And so I've got a couple of things here of like, you know, have you burnt it all down? Have you gone into risky spaces? That Gemma, what you were saying about wanting to test the roller coaster, you know, which was just perfect for a maverick, right? Because it's like the comfort of the roller coaster. Or is it going, I am not going to do that, even though it would be useful for me. So going to that extreme, or just going, that's stupid, or worrying about the roles, like what you just said, Kira, there about, I want to do things differently. I don't want to do the same role as anyone else. So like, where is that sabotaging you in your business specifically? And, you know, were there any ahas that you got around that shifted things? And Deborah, you're first on this one, and then Gemma, and then go around, and then Natalie, you're last on that one.
Oh my goodness, I've been sabotaging myself for a decade in my business because of my maverickness. And it's only just recently, I'm talking in the last 2 weeks, that I've had this massive shift of no more, like my maverick is coming out, I'm owning this, and it's made such a difference. But before that, I mean, it was pretty bad 10 years ago and 8 years ago, and it was getting better after doing SMA a couple of years ago when I first joined. But I've always been sabotaging. It's the feeling like I should be doing it in a certain way. So I knew quite quickly that I didn't actually want to be a lawyer once I realized that there was lots of deadlines and I had to do sort of the same thing every day and wear like black like suits and go to court and all of that kind of stuff, which was so far from what I wanted to do. So I then tried to do all the things. I went through about 10, I think, network marketing companies, because I didn't make the money in the first 3 months, right? It's clearly that network marketing company, I'll go on to this one. I'll go and get this shiny new purple thing. Shiny object syndrome, that's definitely my thing. Okay, I'll do this one. This is awesome. Haven't made any money. It's 3 months, right? I'll go to this next one. This one is definitely going to be the thing that makes me a million. I was doing leaflet dropping. I was doing things like Avon and all of that kind of stuff. I say doing, I mean, I was sort of doing them and not making any money from them because I had a whole host of money mindset stuff, but that's a different story. So from that point, it was kind of jumping to thing to jumping to thing to jumping to thing. Then I feel like I kind of found my sort of place in about 2016 of discovering the law of attraction and learning the science behind it, learning neuroscience and that kind of things, and knowing that I wanted to do mindset kind of coaching, whatever that kind of thing I wanted to. In fact, the very first thing I wanted to do was create things like gratitude journals and affirmation planners and things like that. And I remember a coach telling me that that was a bad idea because I was never going to make any money from, that sounds great for a little bit of passive income, but really what I should be doing is setting up coaching programs and that kind of thing. So I'd set up a coaching program. The first coaching program I set up was 12 weeks for £3,000, and I put it on my website and I pressed the button and I thought, oh my God, I hope no one buys it. I was terrified of someone buying it because then I had to actually follow through with the thing. Obviously no one bought it because I took it down again quite quickly. But then I fell into these circles where all these coaches, all these gurus were telling me how I should run my business and how I should run coaching programs or how I should run workshops, what my website should look like, how I should pick a niche. And I know I've mentioned this already, but I kind of went from thing to thing. I've called myself so many different things because I felt like I should have a title, that I've gone from visibility coach to confidence coach to clarity coach, a mindset coach, a money mindset coach, a stress coach, a happiness coach, all the different kind of things, because I then get bored and I do that for a few months and I think, oh, I don't want to be a happiness coach anymore. I really like the habits. I'll go and be a habit coach. And I do that for a few months. And then I think, oh, really, maybe I'm a clarity coach because I help people get clarity. I'll do that kind of thing. And Denise mentioned about, do you sort of burn things and burn it all down? And I don't know whether burn it all down is the right kind of word, because I never built it up to that point that I felt successful. I was never making millions or anything from it at this point because I kept like sabotaging it. But it was sort of, I get to the point where I'd be making some money and it could get to the point where it could go somewhere, but I'd be bored. And so I closed the Facebook group and set up another one, or decide that I was going to work with a completely different audience, or just take off my website and do something else completely different and do that for a bit and then get bored. I definitely don't like being stuck in a routine. I don't like being stuck in being put in a box, having to do the same thing time and time again. I don't like being told when I have to do some stuff. So actually I tried to do one-to-one coaching for a while. Someone would book on my calendar and I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, I wanted to watch that TV program then, and now someone's booked on my coaching calendar, and I'd then resent them. So I've now found the perfect way of growing my business with my membership, because it means that although it's ongoing, so it seems a bit weird for a maverick, it is kind of ongoing. For me, I do get to just turn up and be me. My members love it. Even with my membership for the first year, I was doing it the way I felt I should do, the way lots of other membership teachers out there talk about, and you get guest experts in and you do this workshop and you do that and you have a community area. I was doing that and it didn't feel right. It didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was doing it for the sake of doing it. I then got really annoyed when I had to find guest experts and do all of that kind of work. Since I've got rid of that and it's just me, and my members know that they get something a month, it might be a workshop, might be an ebook, might be some coloring sheets and templates. Every week they get me live, so that's fine. But now that it's much easier to just kind of turn up and do it, it's sort of changed everything. But before, it's just been sabotaging even that, with it has to be done in a perfect way. It has to follow this formula. You have to do what all these people are kind of specifically telling you to do. And because I get bored of it after a few months, then I would close the Facebook group. I'd stop doing it. I'd pick a different niche, and I wouldn't ever get to that point of making kind of money from it. And it's, for me, it's definitely that boredom kind of thing. If I get bored, I'm not interested. And I remember another memory popped up for me from childhood, so I'll just share it really quickly. I know we're talking about something else, but remember, even when I was 5, I don't actually remember this, but my mum has told me the story so many times of, even when I was 5, I was reading the books that were for the 12-year-olds. Again, that seemed to be quite a thing for us mavericks. I'd read all of the books that were for the 5-year-olds, and my teacher had said to me, apparently, why don't you go back to the beginning and start them? And I said, I'm not going to read them again. I'm not going to waste my time reading them again. So then I had to go through all of the other ones. And in the music lessons, when she'd be playing the piano, because I was a bit bored, I'd break off bits of my rubber and I'd fling it at the piano with the ruler, so it would like make these notes as she was kind of singing. So I'd get out of it, my mum would come pick me up and I'd go, can we go swimming now? So even that, it's kind of, I don't like being bored. I like to be free. Doing things in my business, I've resisted for so long because I'm told how to create my website or how to run my like coaching program, how to design my sales page, what content to use, exactly what platform I'm supposed to use, how I'm supposed to engage with my audience. And as soon as someone says that, I've been trying to do it because I feel like I should, but now I know that I've been resisting it because actually it's not what I want to do. And I've known what I want to do in my business for a good sort of 2 years now, but I've been resisting it. But over the last couple of weeks, since going through SMA again, I'm kind of done. I'm done with social media in as far as I possibly can, because it's not for me. I've left all the Facebook groups. I've unfollowed people. I've been talking about doing a podcast for 2 years. In the last 2 weeks, I've recorded 5 episodes and put it out there, because now I'm taking so much action, because I'm like, right, I'm doing this thing. I get inspiration and I take action, rather than asking somebody else what they think and then finding the gurus and then following the programs. I've done so many things. I've written 2 ebooks. I've launched my podcast. I've done all these different kind of things in the last 2 weeks, because now I'm owning my awesome maverickness rather than fighting it and resisting it. So I'm so super grateful. But yeah, no more sabotaging. I'm done.
Oh man, I wish we could just talk for hours more. Honestly, there's so many places that we could go here. I want to know, we're just talking then in the threads about like having to do short-term stuff because you get resentful, or you feel like you're in handcuffs for having to do those long-term things. And that's the power of the maverick, right? Is that you can sell anything, doesn't mean you should. You can do lots of things, doesn't mean you should. But the thing that I guess I want to leave you guys with too is the power of technology is so good for mavericks. Because maybe as a kid, God, so many of you like youngest in the class because you got bumped up. So you were the different one. And the cool thing is now with the internet is that we can go and scoop up all of those different ones from all around the world. There's literally, no limitation to who you can serve. And we can use that as an amplification, and we can use the automation to support all of those things, so you can create that freedom, but without literally burning everything down. And finding those short-term team members, or batching things in your high energy times, but you need the infrastructure behind you to do it. And so when we talk about simplicity, maybe it is things like the all-in-one Kajabi thing, so then you don't have the complication of lots of things. So there's a lot of ahas there around just finding that way, so you don't have to do fuck you to the funnels and burn it all down. It's like, I'll do it, but it's on my terms, and it's got to support me, not the other way around. So there's so many nuances there around team and systems that will help us, because I'm a maverick second, to help us thrive, not double down on our self-sabotage and create those unhealthy patterns. So I got so much out of this. I hope you guys did too. All right, I've got to go. Thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for your time and your generosity, guys, and your ideas and your just activating energy. I just appreciate it so much. And I can't wait to see you guys in SMA.
So, are you a ruler, a connector, or a maverick? Hang on, maybe you're more of a romantic or a celebrity. Take the money personality quiz right now and find out which of the 8 money archetypes you are. And then I'm going to teach you how to profit from your strengths and make money in your business based on your natural personality. Click below and find out more.